As we turn our attention to the 2021 college football season that will be upcoming in September, I think it's very important that we talk about how important week one of college football this next coming year is going to be for teams vying for the playoffs, and we have got to get into it. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. Hop down into the comments because I can't wait to hear what y'all are thinking. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that the SEC could get two teams into the college football playoff this year? We're going to talk about how week one could make this dream into a reality for some. Guys, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I do constant college football content, whether that's film reviews, player analysis, or talk videos like this, and I'd love to have you along for the journey as I push towards 2,000 subscribers. If you enjoy the video, drop a like and comment down below because likes and comments go a long ways in helping channels like mine get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, we have a lot to get into. And like I said in the intro, when we're talking teams that are vying for a college football playoff spot next year, I think we have our teams that are kind of dark horses, and then we have our realistic expectation teams. As good as LSU was in 2019, when they fall off a cliff the way they did last year, I expect for LSU to be better, but they would be a team that is a dark horse for the college football playoff. Why? Because you have to get past Alabama, and even though Alabama just lost a ton of talent, they return a ton. Your realistic expectation teams, in my opinion, are teams such as OU, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. And you might be asking yourself, well, Ty, you said two SEC teams. How realistic is that given that Bama and Georgia can't both go undefeated? Here's why I think that that's a very realistic possibility. Because if you look at week one of college football, Week one of college football gives us some of the best games all year, but for some teams it will also be the catalyst that propels them forward into college football playoffs. And I'm talking about like an OU. In a week where we have a Clemson, Georgia, in a week where we have an Ohio State, Oregon, and to a lesser degree Alabama versus Miami, OU is going to be playing Tulane. And as a matter of fact, OU's toughest non-conference game is against Nebraska. Now, while this is great news for Sooners fans, because in theory it means you have an easy route to the college football playoffs, the back-end problem with that is if you do drop a game, your schedule is nowhere near good enough to warrant a college football playoff entry. The reason that's going to be so important is because week one you're going to have, like I said, Ohio State, Oregon. And this one's a bit easier to talk about than that Clemson, Georgia one because Ohio State and Oregon, even though Oregon boasts one of the most exciting defenses in college football, looking at it from an athletic personnel standpoint, when you have Noah Sewell, Justin Flo, Kayvon Thibodeau, my God, I mean, everybody in the world is going to be watching that game with eager eyes to see what that Oregon defense looks like. The problem is the Oregon offenses have been sputtering under Cristobal, and I like Cristobal, but it's hard to gauge how good the offense is when it's almost being crutched by play calling. And I hope to see some changes there, especially with Ty Thompson coming in. But even though Oregon looks to continue and really make a massive leap on offense this year, it's not going to be enough to go against Ohio State. Ohio State will be looking to make a big splash week one in college football, trotting out who I believe will be C.J. Stroud onto the field, and they look to just keep going. They have an incredible running back recruit, Travion Henderson, who looks to do massive things. Not only that, but they return the deepest, if not the second deepest wide receiver core in the nation. OU and them can legitimately have a good argument there, and that's actually a true debate as to who's the number one receiving core in the nation. So that one right there, even though I believe that it's going to be an intriguing game, it's going to be a game worth watching, it is going to be Ohio State's game, right? It's Ohio State's game to lose, and then outside of that, the Big Ten isn't really good enough to push them, even though they could get into some close games, because the Big Ten has a lot of good coaches. I just don't think that they have the talent plus the coaching to overtake Ohio State just yet. But that leads us into the topic at the beginning of this video. Could the SEC get two teams in? And it is a very realistic possibility, and it all stems towards that September 4th Clemson, Georgia game. Now, for Clemson, this is going to be the hardest game on your schedule. And look, the ACC, which once was a laughingstock, is getting a bit better, right? And it's still not to the point of an SEC. But when you have a Miami and a North Carolina who are legitimately good teams, you look to improve your stock. Now, all ACC fans, if you're watching this video, pray to God that North Carolina doesn't drop a game to Florida State again, because that right there diminishes the legitimacy of the ACC when you have a team that should be the second or third best team in the ACC drop a game to a team that, since the college football playoff era, it has been a roller coaster of a team, and right now finds itself on the bottom end of that roller coaster. This is going to be massive for Clemson, because winning this game pretty much ensures their route to college football playoffs, barring something just totally surprising. Barring a blowout loss to North Carolina, something crazy happening against Miami, but Clemson returns enough talent along with a good recruiting class, and I think that they will be able to supplement a lot of just easy plug-and-play pieces onto that offense. DJ Uiagalelei is number one, right? That's going to be a guy that they are able to plug and play because he played some last year and was very, very productive during his play. It's a big game for Clemson. However, on the flip side, if Georgia wins that game, Clemson could be out of the college football playoffs. And let me explain. We've already looked at OU's schedule, right? And OU has a very easy route, in theory, to the college football playoffs. That being said, they cannot afford to drop a game. So if OU goes undefeated, if Ohio State goes undefeated, and then Clemson drops week 1 to Georgia, Clemson is then at the mercy of Georgia. Georgia looks to run the table in the SEC East. Bama looks to run the table in the SEC West. If that scenario comes true and Alabama and Georgia meet in the SEC Championship and they're both undefeated, whoever loses that game could have a real warranting shot depending on how the loss is doled out, right? If Georgia goes in there or if Bama goes in there and absolutely just spanks the other, you're probably not going to be seeing two SEC teams. But if it is a close game and both teams are undefeated going into there is a very real possibility the SEC gets two teams in. And look, this is a Georgia team that returns 16 starters, right? And the only thing they really lose is secondary players, and I'm not too concerned about that because they have Kelly Ringo, who's looking to come in and make a big splash. So the defense is going to be very good. They have good pass rush, which will help bring along the secondary. And even then, this is a secondary that it's Georgia, right? This is one of the places in the nation, like LSU, like Alabama, that when a secondary gets depleted, I'm just looking at them saying, yeah, y'all will be fine. You'll figure it out. But now I want to hear from y'all. What do you think moving into week 1 of college football? Do you believe that the SEC could get two teams? And who are your teams you're most excited about seeing? That's it. See ya.